Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today with a little bit of a weirder deck profile. I can't vouch for this deck really doing much at all. I've playtested it a few times and it's first of all really reliant on luck basically because the deck is focused on cards that do die roll, and then whatever comes out of this you get the certain effects or get more monsters on board or not. So that is already what makes the deck not as good as it could be. Plus the fact that the extra deck is kind of tight and you could run a lot of cards in this deck. You could go for a crazy rank 4s, you could go for crazy synchros, for crazy links, but all in total it doesn't do any of those kind of things too consistently, so you kind of want to run it all like a toolbox, but you know it's a little bit hard. But what do I expect? We're talking about Morphtronics here, so I guess just lean back and enjoy. Starting off with the price of the deck, I would assume it is probably around the 50 to 80 region because I think Urgent Schedule is coming in quite pricey. The Morphtronic cards in total shouldn't be too expensive. Anything else in this deck is kind of normal price, but like Yugioh, for example, you don't really need to run it, but it would be better if you did. You could swap it with Avramax, whatever is cheaper for you, whatever works better. If you go in second, this Avramax can be helpful to OTK somewhat. You know what I'm going with. It's quite the you don't really know what to run, so you don't want to spend too much on it in general. But that was the only way I could make Morphtronics work in a sense. And I splashed in the Infinitrack engine at least a little bit. I mean, 5 cards isn't too great, but it works. And that is because they support Earth-type machine monsters in a certain way. And most of the Morphtronics that I run actually are, so that can be quite helpful. For example, this guy here helps you draw on 2 cards with the 5 Earth machine monsters in your graveyard. That comes up sometimes, so that actually does help you. Plus, it helps you resetting your deck a little bit for that can be helpful for cell phone and those kind of cards. In general, I'm not even sure if this guy deck is a go first or go second one. I think it's more go second without the ability to really break boards. So in a like casual environment, this deck can actually be quite neat, but in a competitive environment, this deck does nothing basically. Next up, Infinitrack Trencher. Basically, you can, well, you get rid of some cards on your board. It's a way to get your cell phone into the graveyard if you can revive it somehow. And other than this, you can revive another Infinitrack from your graveyard. It's quite situational, but the other Infinitracks were more focused on normal summoning, and I don't want to. The only card that I could go with was the Anchor Drill, because when this card is normal special summon, you can special summon one Earth Machine monster from your hand in defense position, which helps you get out your cell phone basically. Or that's not all you can do with this deck. What else you can do is you can obviously go into rank 4s with this, because you have at least 2 other rank level 4 Earth Machine type monsters. So that is an easy rank 4 plus easy rank level 7 Synchro as well with Remoten. Other than that, if you want your cell phone out, so this card is quite versatile. Only problem, if your opponent negates it, then you're basically without any plays. Plus, this card plus cell phone gives you access to River Stormer, which can search you. And now here comes the cool part. It can search your smartphone, which you then can obviously summon because you just probably dumped the cell phone into your graveyard. You can banish it. You can get smartphone off. That continues. Plus, you can use the River Stormer in your graveyard to tribute off the Platinum Gadget to summon this card off if you want to go into Yugioh, because this card in the turn it's summoned cannot be used as a link material. And you don't want to use your extra monster zone slot and switching that out. Even if you lose 1 link rating, technically, it is still helpful to be able to replace this card with this card on board. For the next card, 1 gold gadget, basically just because you run the platinum gadget and you have enough level 4 machine monsters. Plus, you could even get like 3 monsters out because that card just says norm or special summon. So you could use it with this as well. So it's if you have it in hand, barely ever a brick. You have a lot of other level 4s, I mean at least 6 more, so that can work most of the time. It is somewhat bricky sometimes, I guess, but if you can get it out with the Platinum Gadget, that can be quite neat. So you could run it, you could also not run it, but there's not many Morphtronic cards, so you can run instead maybe 1 more Infinitrack card. Other than that, that's the reason for running this card. This cards, like those 2, basically their effects don't matter. It's just because they're an Earth Machine type monster level 4. That's all, because you need level 4s for scoping. and Earth Machine monsters kind of help with the Anchor Drill and this guy. So that's basically what you run them. Boomboxing, since you can summon it somewhat easily with Cell Phone, can be used to like get more damage on board if you somehow clear your opponent's board. Then this card can be pretty nice. But other than that, like Staplin's effect is, I mean, it still helps you somewhat. Sometimes, I guess. I don't know. It's not, the effect isn't that great, so just ignore this card. Scoping is basically your tool to go into Black Rose Dragon or go into Power Tool Dragon or any other level 7 synchro that you want to run. There is no limits to that one, but I felt like those were the most effective ones. You can cut the whole DDR engine and just don't run Power Tool Dragon. But since it's Morphtronics, I thought let's include them somehow because anime reasons and stuff. Sadly, this card is not an Earth type monster, which sometimes is a little bit annoying. Morphtronic Remoting, in general, a good effect to get your smartphone to hand, but you just need a little bit of graveyard setup already with this card. Gladly, it's a tuner, even though you kind of overflow on tuners with this card being a tuner, this card being a tuner, this card being a tuner. But you have enough cards to make that worthwhile. And you can summon this card out with the Urgent Schedule, for example, and then go into a level 8 synchro, so that works pretty fine. And yeah, it's an Earth Machine type monster, so that is neat as well. Smartphone is, I want to say a playmaker because you can special summon it from your hand, which can be quite good to get the board filled up a little bit. Back in the days with Firewall Dragon still be around, you could extra link with this deck somewhat, but that is not really the case anymore. You would need too much luck basically to get an extra link off these days. I think it's probably doable with stuff like Desynchro, but I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't bet on it. Plus, the effect of like adding a card to your hand that you excavate is nice, but since none of the other ones but Smartphone can special summon themselves, you basically don't need them in your hand most of the time because you have no way of getting another card out after your normal summon. And the big playmaker of the deck, Cell Phone, where you really hope you're going to roll a big number, is you can special summon excavate cards, and if you have a Morphtronic in there, special summon it. You want to hit multiple Cell Phones, you want to maybe hit a Scopin if you have one of those cards in your hand, you want to maybe hit a Remoting, but in the end, you're just going to swarm your field with useless monsters. There's not good enough link monsters. If you want a Ball Sword, you can do this. Avramax, I guess, is the cheaper version, but Ball Sword's getting a reprint, so keep an eye on that. If you want to run Ball Sword in the deck, then do that. 1-for-1 basically to get Cell Phone out, Desynchro basically to trigger Cell Phone's effect more often if you ever go into synchro plays with it. Mainly the problem is that you probably want to use Remoting for it because or Scoping, because they're just the higher level tuners, and level 1 barely ever makes the difference. But you could, it's not impossible, so that's your way to get out the Cell Phone effect. Again, you could put like this level 4 hand guy in, so you could maybe use the effects of this card again when you desynchro, but is it worth it? I'm not sure. A very good card in the deck if you have Graveyard set up is Junk Box, but also helps you recycle your smartphone, your Cell Phone effect, because the effects are not negated. It's destroyed during the end phase, but do you really care? Usually you'll link that away, so this card is making the deck somewhat okay. Would be better if this card milled the cards if you hit a Morphtronic monster, because then you actually might have Graveyard setup already. But what can you say? I mean, that's why you have cards like Monster Gate and Reasoning to maybe fill up your graveyard, fill up your board a little bit, recycle cards, cycle through your deck. Monster Reborn, same thing. Just abusing the fact that this is not a heart once per turn, huh? That's basically what you're doing with those cards. I think that's the only reason why they can't give them good support these days, because this card is not a heart once per turn. If they had actual good monsters, then you could actually do crazy things with this deck. So I don't know if they're ever getting support. Maybe I'll definitely make a video on it if they do, but like this, not really. For going second, Urgent Schedule is quite a good card in this deck since you're running the Infinitrack engines. Gives you an instant level 8, for example. Gives you a little bit of graveyard setup. Gives you opportunities in the deck. DDR basically because you banish cards with the Smartphone. If you banish Cell Phone, then you can get Cell Phone back up. Get your graveyard set up with the discard using cards that you add to your hand either by Remoting or by Smartphone for the discard, because you don't really need it. That's why I possibly could run like a Nightmare Unicorn as well, since I guess discards don't hurt you too much. They'll still hurt you because the deck's not super consistent, but you could do it. For the extra deck, 1 level 8 Synchro Monster, obviously for the Urgent Schedule combo. Black Rose Dragon, Power Tool Dragon, Stardust Charge Warrior, because you can technically get one out, but that's more when you run the level 3 guy like Magnan, for example. These days it's not as important anymore. It just gives you a draw, and when you get it out, it's quite neat. But I probably wouldn't even run this card anymore. I probably would go for another level 7, level 8, anything good in this deck. It's hard. It's hard. Same goes for Hyper Librarian. You can get it off with Smartphone any level 4, but will you get another Synchro? Will you really spam Synchro monsters? Not sure. Not really sure. Naturia Beast is a very good card if you start on first. Not really hard to make in this deck. This is one of the negate cards, not really hard to make. Ball, Savage Dragon, probably a little bit harder to make. Not with Urgent Schedule, but you probably don't have a Link monster more. Then still, it's okay. You can go into this. This card helps you search. This card helps you reset Platinum Gadget. 1 rank 4 card. Play whatever you like. Play whatever number you like. I just feel going second. That card is the best for clearing boards. Yugioh, you actually put a board up of useless monsters, so why wouldn't you play Yugioh? Decode Talker is a good link 3, I guess, to run a Unicorn if you are having it and have the money to play it. Phoenix, well, classic. You have discards, you can destroy opponent's spell trap cards, that's important. Platinum Gadget, maybe sometimes to get your play started with cell phone in hand, for example. Cerberus, same thing as Phoenix, I guess, don't have to talk about that much. Proxy Dragon, I didn't come up with a better one. I guess you could go Update Jammer for like OTK-ish things. There's probably things that you could run instead of Proxy Dragon, but the protections sometimes seem helpful-ish. Don't really know, but yeah, I'm not happy. You hear I'm not really happy with the extra deck because this deck is kind of janky, and it's Morphtronics, okay? It's Morphtronics. What are you expecting? And 1 Link Karibo, you could even run 2, but you can recycle it from the graveyard for your smartphone or cell phone. That is the deck. If you have enough money, probably World Legacy of Succession wouldn't be bad in this deck, because getting stuff out of your graveyard, triggering the effects multiple times is quite neat. Avramax, if you're going second and your opponent can't disrupt you enough, like this deck can actually play through like 1 to 3 disruptions, not necessarily negates, but more disruptions in a sense that they are recovering okay-ish, but you have to have the right setup, the right cards, and it's mainly going to be a hard one, but you can do it, so Avramax wouldn't be too bad if you actually go into it. That's the deck profile. Leave it a like, subscribe. I really enjoy this deck. I really enjoy Morphtronics. I just wish they would be a little bit better. I hope I got my enthusiasm through it a little bit, because I just hope they would be better, but I feel like this version actually works out as a deck and gives them a chance to do things, you know what I mean? So like, subscribe, if you're really into budget decks, if you want to build decks on a budget, don't spend more than 80 to 100 quid, then follow my channel. Usually it's way cheaper than that, but some extra deck cards or some cards Urgent Schedule are just a little bit expensive from time to time. So hope you're having a good day.